The universe had felt imbalance before. It had felt war, extinction, even gods clashing across the stars. But this was different. At the edge of reality itself, beyond space mapped by Kree charts or Asgardian star lore, a pressure built that did not belong to this cosmos. It wasn't the pull of gravity or the hum of an infinity stone activating. It was resistance, as if reality were being forced to accept something it had never agreed to contain. Above Earth's atmosphere, the void split open. Not a portal, not a jump point, a wound. Light fractured into impossible colors, bending physics the way glass bends fire. Satellites died instantly. Skrull deep space relays went blind. Even the Sanctum Sanctorum shuddered, ancient wards flaring as Doctor Strange looked up from the Time Stone with sudden, unmistakable dread. "This isn't Thanos," he whispered. Across the galaxy, on Sanctuary 2, Thanos paused mid-step. The Space Stone pulsed harder against his gauntlet, reacting to something foreign, something unwritten. His expression did not change, but his eyes narrowed with interest. "So," the Mad Titan rumbled, "another universe dares to intrude." The tear widened, and 6 figures fell through. They did not arrive together. The rupture scattered them like fragments of a shattered myth. Superman was the first to breach atmosphere, his body burning against unfamiliar cosmic radiation as he instinctively slowed, scanning a planet that felt similar to Earth, but not his Earth. Different gravity constants, different electromagnetic signature, different stars. He heard screams before he saw the battlefield. Wakanda. Below him, golden energy shields flickered as alien creatures slammed against them in waves. Outriders, thousands of them, poured across the plains like living weapons, tearing into defenses with mindless precision. Wakandan aircraft burned in the sky. Vibranium cannons thundered uselessly as something far worse loomed just beyond the shield line. Superman hovered, stunned, not by fear, but by scale. "This is a war," he said quietly, and then he moved. Miles away, in New York City, Barry Allen skidded across asphalt in a blur of red lightning, barely avoiding a collapsing building as he came to a panicked halt. Okay, this is not Central City," he said, eyes darting as Chitauri wreckage smoldered nearby. Sirens wailed, civilians screamed. A man in a red and gold armored suit rocketed overhead, firing repulsor blasts at something with 4 arms and a blade longer than a bus. Barry blinked. That guy's flying, and shiny. Before he could process further, a shockwave ripped down the street. Ebony Maw's telekinesis tore cars into the air like toys. Flash leaned forward, instincts kicking in. "Guess we're doing this." Elsewhere, beneath the Atlantic, the ocean boiled. Arthur Curry felt it before he saw it, the wrongness. Massive shapes tore through water that should not have allowed them to move so fast. Alien war machines descended toward the seabed, drilling, harvesting, searching for something ancient buried beneath Wakandan trade routes. Atlantean guards drew weapons too late. Aquaman surged forward, trident blazing, slamming into the first craft with godlike force. Metal folded, water pressure crushed hulls. But as more ships descended, Arthur realized this wasn't an invasion, it was extraction. Above Earth, orbiting debris spun violently as a lone figure dropped onto a broken chunk of satellite wreckage. Batman rose slowly. His armor was intact, barely. Readouts scrolled across his visor, every system screaming anomaly warnings. No known star charts, no recognized energy signatures, not Darkseid. He pulled a hologram into focus, planetary data, intercepted transmissions, fragmented distress calls. One word appeared again and again across multiple languages. Thanos. Bruce's jaw tightened. Great. Across the galaxy, in the ruins of Edinburgh, Diana of Themyscira stood amid shattered stone and fallen bodies, her sword humming softly as she faced two figures she had never seen before, one pale and silent, the other monstrous and armored, wielding a spear crackling with energy. Corvus Glaive smiled at her. "You fight like a god." "I am one," Diana replied, eyes burning. Their clash sent shockwaves through the street, ancient steel meeting alien metal forged in the fires of conquest. As they fought, Diana felt it. This war was not about territory or pride. It was about inevitability, about a tyrant who believed slaughter was balance. And somewhere deep within her, she knew she had faced his kind before. Finally, in a dark Wakandan medical tent, Victor Stone screamed. Cyborg's systems went berserk as alien code tried to interface with him, Stone originating algorithms clashing violently with something far older. The Mind Stone's energy, radiating from vision nearby, resonated with Victor's own technology in a way that made his circuits ache. "They're talking to me," Victor gasped. "The stones, they're not just power, they're rules." Rules this universe enforced, rules his body was never meant to follow. As the battles raged separately, a single truth emerged. This universe was already dying, and the Justice League had arrived mid-collapse. High above Wakanda, Superman finally saw him. Thanos stood still amid chaos, watching the battlefield with calm certainty, the Infinity Gauntlet gleaming with impossible light. Power rolled off him in waves that made even Superman slow, not from weakness, but from instinctive restraint. This wasn't an enemy you rushed blindly. Thanos looked up. Their eyes met across the sky. "A traveler," Thanos said softly, almost pleased. "How fortunate." Superman clenched his fists. Whatever this universe was, whoever this Titan claimed to be, he would not allow it to fall. And far away, hidden in shadow, Batman reached the same conclusion, only his came with a colder realization. If Thanos won here, every universe would follow. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars or any galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop a character name in the comments. May the Force be with you. The war had already begun, and the Justice League had just stepped into its most unforgiving chapter. Earth did not welcome gods kindly. In Wakanda, Superman's descent split the air like a thunderclap. Outriders were vaporized on impact as he struck the ground between shattered shield pylons, the force rippling outward in a perfect circle of flattened earth and broken bodies. Wakandan soldiers froze, not in fear, but disbelief. T'Challa watched from the ridge, claws half extended, visor scanning the impossible figure hovering above the battlefield. "He is not on any registry," Shuri said rapidly, fingers flying across holographic controls. "No armor signature, no propulsion system. He's just flying." Steve Rogers lowered his shield slightly, eyes never leaving Superman. Friend or foe? Superman looked around, burning aircraft, wounded soldiers, creatures that attacked without thought, and answered with action. He caught a Wakandan skimmer spiraling out of control, set it gently on the ground, then turned as a Leviathan-class transport burst through the clouds. He flew. The collision was silent at first, then the sky exploded. The transport buckled inward as Superman drove it upward, tearing through armored plating and alien bone alike. It detonated high above the battlefield, raining molten debris that evaporated before it touched the shield. A ripple moved through the Wakandan lines. Hope. Dangerous, fragile hope. But Thanos did not react. He merely watched, fingers tightening almost imperceptibly around the Power Stone. Elsewhere, New York City descended into controlled chaos. Flash blurred through the streets, disarming Chitauri squads before they could even register movement. Weapons vanished, armor collapsed inward from precision strikes delivered in microseconds. He evacuated civilians in streaks of red light, depositing them blocks away with breathless apologies. "Sorry, new universe, no time, stay safe," he called, already gone. Iron Man hovered above the street, tracking the red blur with widening eyes. "Okay, that's new." Spider-Man landed beside Dr. Strange, mask tilted. Mr. Stark, is that guy stealing everyone's stuff really fast?" Strange's expression was grim. "He's not stealing, he's editing the battlefield." Above them, Ebony Maw's eyes narrowed. He raised a hand, and the air itself twisted. Flash slammed into an invisible wall. Barry tumbled, skidding across pavement, momentum tearing sparks from the street. He rolled to his feet just in time to dodge a telekinetically hurled bus. "Note to self," Barry muttered, "Space Wizard bad." Ma floated closer, voice serene. "You move between moments, impressive, but time bends for greater masters." Barry vanished again, only to reappear gasping as gravity doubled around him. The Ma smiled. Then a golden rope snapped around his arm. Wonder Woman yanked him from the sky, slamming the telekinetic savant into a building with bone-shaking force. Stone cracked, glass exploded outward. "You talk too much," Diana said coldly. Corvus Glaive struck from behind. Their blades met in a scream of metal, sparks lighting the ruined street as Diana twisted, shield raised just in time to block the spear's killing blow. Proxima Midnight joined the assault, her weapon biting deep into the asphalt, inches from Diana's head. This was no random skirmish, this was coordinated war. High above Earth's orbit, Batman watched it all unfold. His satellite, hijacked, jury-rigged, barely holding together, fed him fragmented data from every engagement, energy readings off the charts, technology unlike anything he'd cataloged, and at the center of it all, Thanos. Bruce pulled up intercepted Nova Corps archives, Kree intelligence, Asgardian myth fragments stolen from black market databanks. A single word surfaced repeatedly: inevitable. "He's not conquering," Bruce murmured. "He's correcting." A new data stream flashed red. Cyborg. Victor's signal spiked violently as alien algorithms pressed harder, probing his systems through the Mind Stone's resonance. He saw equations that rewrote causality, felt logic bend around concepts his human half couldn't process. "They want access," Victor said through clenched teeth, voice echoing over encrypted League channels. "The stones, they're not weapons, they're permissions." Bruce's eyes narrowed. Permissions to do what? To rewrite the universe. Under the Atlantic, Aquaman ripped another alien drill platform apart, but more descended, tearing into ancient seabed vaults. Atlantean scouts reported energy signatures pulsing upward toward Wakanda. "They're feeding him," Arthur growled. "Whatever he's doing, the oceans are paying for it." Back in Wakanda, the battlefield shifted. The Black Order advanced. Kal Obsidian charged, hammer raised, smashing through vibranium barricades. Hulk met him with a roar, only to be driven back by sheer mass and leverage. Superman intercepted the next blow. The impact cratered the earth beneath them. Kal staggered, stunned, not by pain, but by resistance. Something could stop him. They traded blows that shook the ground, Superman holding back instinctively, measuring this enemy's limits. Kal adapted quickly, swinging with brutal efficiency. Thanos finally moved. He stepped forward, raising the gauntlet, not in anger, but calculation. The Space Stone flared. Superman froze. Not trapped, anchored. Space folded around him, stretching distance into weight, pinning him in a localized gravity well. Superman strained, muscles screaming, not from weakness, but unfamiliar physics. Thanos approached calmly. "You are powerful," Thanos said, "but you are not from here. Your strength answers to rules this universe does not recognize." Superman met his gaze. "Then you're gonna have to work harder." He broke free, barely, shockwaves rippling outward as he surged upward again. Thanos smiled. "A choice, then," the Titan said softly. "How much of yourself are you willing to lose to save a universe that is not yours?" Across the planet, Batman watched the data spike. Power levels escalating, stones reacting, probability curves collapsing. Bruce exhaled slowly. There it was, the moment. They could try to stop Thanos everywhere, or they could gamble everything on one decisive strike. Either way, someone, maybe everyone, would pay the price, and the Justice League would have to decide how far gods should go in a universe that already believed itself doomed. The universe did not bend all at once. It resisted, then adapted. Batman felt it before anyone said a word. Across his tactical display, probability trees recalculated themselves in real time. Outcomes that had existed seconds ago vanished. Others appeared, darker, narrower, more expensive. Thanos wasn't just reacting anymore, he was learning. "He's profiling us," Bruce said into the League channel. "Every move, every restraint." Superman heard him, even through the chaos. He was high above Wakanda now, pushing against warped space, vision flaring as he tracked the Gauntlet's energy signatures. Each stone had a rhythm, a logic. Together, they formed something worse than raw power, a strategy. On the ground, Captain America rallied battered lines as Outriders surged again, adapting to Superman's presence, spreading out, targeting civilians, forcing him to choose. Steve noticed it instantly. They're baiting him. They're forcing moral load, classic tyrant play. Superman dove anyway. He always did. He saved a collapsing medical tent, caught a Wakandan transport mid-crash, redirected an Outrider swarm away from fleeing soldiers, but every choice cost him seconds, and seconds were currency Thanos spent freely. Not far away, Wanda Maximoff screamed as she held back a tide of enemies and struggled to contain the Mind Stone within vision. The strain bent reality around her like glass. Diana landed beside her in a shockwave of dust and blood. "You are holding too much alone," Wonder Woman said, planting her shield as Proxima Midnight charged again. Wanda's eyes burned red. "If I stop, he gets the stone." Diana met her gaze. "Two warriors, two sacrifices measured differently. Then we make him pay for every step." Their counterattack was brutal, elegant, ancient. Diana moved like a goddess of war remembered in myth, sword singing, shield ringing with every impact. Proxima retreated inches at a time, surprised not by strength, but by resolve. This woman did not hesitate. In New York, Flash lay gasping, gravity finally releasing him as Ebony Maw's focus shifted elsewhere. Barry rolled onto beside, lungs burning. "Okay, no more holding back." He ran. Not fast, carefully. Barry threaded between moments, skimming the edge of relativistic speed without tearing the local time flow apart. He disassembled Maw's battlefield, not attacking the being, but the environment. Support structures collapsed, anchors vanished, momentum changed. Maw snarled as his concentration fractured. Then, Spider-Man hit him. Dr. Strange followed, binding him in shifting crimson glyphs that snapped shut like traps. Strange glanced at Flash, eyes sharp. "You don't belong here." Barry flashed a grin. "Yeah, that's kind of our thing." Above the Atlantic, the oceans roared. Aquaman stood amid a churning vortex, trident raised as ancient Atlantean guardians, awakened by the alien intrusion, rose from forgotten depths. Massive constructs of coral and stone tore into Thanos' harvesting machines, crushing them like tin. Arthur's voice thundered across the water. "You don't take from this world without answering to it." But even as the seas reclaimed themselves, Arthur felt it. A pull. The stones didn't care where power came from, only that it could be counted. Victor screamed again. Cyborg's vision fractured into layers of reality, each rewritten slightly differently. Alien code no longer probed, it integrated. He saw the gauntlet's internal logic, its permission stack, its failsafes, in one horrifying truth. "Bruce," Cyborg said, voice shaking, "the stones are compensating for us." Batman stiffened. "Explain." "We're not supposed to be here," Victor continued, "so the universe is reallocating energy to keep balance. The more we interfere, the more power Thanos gets access to." Silence. Superman heard that too. For the first time since arriving, doubt crept in. Not about himself, but about consequences. Every punch he threw warped probability. Every life he saved tightened the gauntlet's grip on inevitability. Thanos felt it fully now. He raised the gauntlet, smiling, not in triumph, but in vindication. "Balance adjusts," he said, voice carrying across the battlefield. "You struggle against fate, and fate rewards me." He closed his fist. The Power Stone flared. A shockwave tore across Wakanda, flattening outriders and heroes alike. Superman was thrown backward, skidding through the air before stabilizing, pain ringing through him for the first time. Not physical pain, existential. Batman's displays went dark one by one as satellites burned out under reality stress. "This universe is choosing him," Bruce whispered. "No," Diana said firmly over comms. "It is being forced." Bruce's jaw clenched. Then the calculation finished. "There's only one move left, and it's ugly." "What is it?" Superman asked. Bruce didn't answer immediately, because to stop Thanos, they would have to stop playing heroes, and someone, maybe more than one someone, would have to cross a line that could never be uncrossed. The war for the universe was no longer about winning, it was about deciding who was allowed to lose. Batman did not believe in destiny, but he believed in leverage. From his failing orbital platform, Bruce Wayne rerouted every remaining sensor toward a single point of convergence, Wakanda. Not because it was where the fighting was fiercest, but because it was where choice still existed. "Thanos is winning because we're reacting," Bruce said over the League channel, voice calm in a way that unsettled even Diana. "He's dictating the board. We flip it." Superman hovered above the battlefield, bruised clouds curling around him. "By doing what?" "By not stopping him," Bruce replied. "Not yet." Silence followed. Then anger. "That's insane," Steve Rogers cut in. "People are dying down here." "I know, and more will, unless we force him to commit." Victor's systems flickered as he stabilized himself beside Vision, alien code still writhing across his digital consciousness. "Bruce, if Thanos completes the gauntlet—" "He won't, not the way he wants to." Batman transmitted a data burst, schematics, projections, probability collapse maps. Strange, Shuri, and Tony Stark absorbed it almost instantly. Dr. Strange's jaw tightened. "You want to lure him." "Yes, into overextension." Tony exhaled sharply. "That's bold." "It's suicidal," Wanda said, straining as red energy flared around her. "He'll kill Vision." Bruce didn't dodge it. "That's the line." Superman clenched his fists. "No." "You don't get to say no," Bruce said quietly. "Not here, not now." The words landed harder than any blow Thanos had delivered. Superman descended, landing beside Batman's projected avatar on the battlefield, blue cape torn, eyes burning. "You're asking us to become what we fight." Batman met his gaze without blinking. "I'm asking us to accept that this universe already made that bargain." Diana stepped between them, sword lowered but ready. "There is another way." Bruce shook his head. "Not one that ends with everyone alive." Across the field, Thanos advanced again, methodical, unstoppable. Kull Obsidian regrouped, the Black Order tightened formation. Every movement was deliberate now. The Titan knew something had changed. "You hesitate," Thanos called out, voice echoing unnaturally. "That is wisdom or surrender." Superman shot forward. This time, he did not pull the punch. He struck Thanos with full intent, not to incapacitate, but to displace. The impact tore a canyon through Wakanda's earth, launching Thanos backward through shield remnants and into open terrain. For a split second, the battlefield froze. Then, everything exploded. Thanos roared, not in pain, but exhilaration. He rose, space and power stones flaring in tandem. Reality folded, redirecting Superman's momentum into crushing gravity wells that slammed him into the ground again and again. Diana charged, deflecting a blast meant for Wanda. Aquaman surged from the earth itself, summoned water erupting from subterranean aquifers to crash into Thanos like a tidal god's wrath. For the first time, Thanos staggered. He laughed. "Yes," he said, "now I see you." Cyborg screamed as the Mind Stone surged. Vision collapsed to one knee, circuits overloading as the stone reacted violently to Victor's presence, two impossible systems rejecting each other. "Bruce, the stone can't stabilize with me this close. It's tearing itself apart." Batman's heart hammered. This wasn't the plan. This was worse. Strange moved instantly, conjuring a temporal loop around Vision. But Thanos snapped the Time Stone's influence away with a casual twist of his wrist. "No more delays," Thanos said. He raised his hand. Wanda screamed. Superman broke free of gravity and interposed himself, heat vision blazing, but the Reality Stone flared, turning his attack into harmless light that scattered like dust. Thanos closed his fingers around Vision's head, and then Flash appeared. Barry slammed into the gauntlet at relativistic speed, not attacking Thanos, but stealing time. For a heartbeat, causality fractured. Thanos froze, not stopped, but delayed. Batman's voice cut through the chaos. "Now!" Shuri triggered the failsafe. The Mind Stone screamed. Energy detonated outward, not an explosion, but a severance. A deliberate incompleteness. Vision collapsed fully. Alive, but empty. The stone's housing shattered, fragments scattering into nothingness. The gauntlet howled. Thanos roared, not in rage, but loss. "No," he said, stunned. "You chose chaos." Batman's voice cut through the chaos. Yes, they had. And the universe shuddered as fate itself reeled from a future that had just been stolen. The universe reacted the way a living thing does when a limb is severed, violently. The sky over Wakanda fractured into layers of colorless distortion, reality snapping back and forth as if unsure which future to obey. Shockwaves rolled outward from the point where the Mind Stone should have existed, flattening outriders, hurling heroes through the air, and sending tremors across continents. Thanos staggered, not from injury, but from imbalance. He looked at the gauntlet, at the empty socket where the Mind Stone's presence still echoed, but no longer answered. The stones flared erratically, their harmony broken. For the first time, inevitability slipped. "You broke the equation," Thanos said slowly, voice no longer calm. "You condemned trillions to a slower death." Batman rose from the rubble, armor cracked, systems failing. "We bought them time." Thanos turned toward him and recognized him. "You are not a warrior," the Titan observed. "You are something far more dangerous." Superman pushed himself upright nearby, every muscle aching as if the universe itself resisted his existence. He could feel it now, the cost of staying. The longer they fought, the more reality pushed back. "We're leaving," Superman said into the League channel. "Now." "No," Diana replied, standing bloodied but unbroken beside Wanda. "Not yet." Thanos moved. Without the Mind Stone, he fought differently, less elegant, more direct. Power and space bent around him as he tore through the battlefield, swatting aside resistance with overwhelming force. Cull Obsidian rallied, Proxima and Corvus struck with renewed fury. But something had changed. Hope had teeth now. Flash reappeared again and again, disrupting formations, redirecting blasts, dragging wounded soldiers out of kill zones. He didn't joke anymore. His movements were precise, almost grim. Aquaman slammed Thanos into a rising wall of water, trident driving sparks from the gauntlet, his ancient sea pressure crushed inward. For a breath, Thanos was contained. Then he shattered the ocean itself, vaporizing the water into superheated mist. Cyborg rose shakily, systems finally stabilizing without the Mind Stone's resonance tearing at him. His voice echoed across the battlefield, layered with something deeper. "I can see the gauntlet's logic now," Victor said. "It's compensating, overdrawing from the remaining stones." Batman's eyes narrowed. "Meaning?" "Meaning, if he keeps pushing," Victor replied, "the gauntlet will fail." Thanos heard that too. He smiled. Wide, genuine, terrifying.
The sky darkened. The Space Stone flared brighter than ever before, folding distance into nothingness. Thanos vanished and reappeared directly in front of Superman. No warning, no build-up. Their clash detonated across Wakanda like a second sun. Superman caught Thanos' fist this time, not bracing, not holding back. For a moment, they were perfectly still, raw strength against cosmic authority. "You could have ruled," Thanos said, straining. "You chose mercy." Superman pushed back, boots carving trenches into the earth. "I choose people." He headbutted Thanos with full force. The Titan reeled, but did not fall. Instead, he changed tactics. The Reality Stone pulsed. Superman's vision twisted. The battlefield dissolved into memories. Kansas fields, Lois's smile, a quiet earth that had never known gods. His strength wavered, not from illusion, but from choice. He could stay here, end the war by leaving it. "Clark!" Diana's voice cut through the distortion. Wonder Woman hurled her sword, not at Thanos, but through the illusion itself. The blade shattered the false reality, snapping Superman back into the fight. Thanos stepped back, assessing them anew. "You infect every universe you touch," he said. "Hope is not balance." "No," Diana replied, retrieving her blade. "It is defiance." Behind them, Strange and Stark regrouped, staring at the Justice League with something like awe and fear. Tony muttered, "Okay, I get why your guy plans." Batman didn't respond. He was watching the sky. The rupture that had brought them here was reopening, not because of accident, but because the universe was rejecting them. "Time's up," Bruce said over comms. "If we stay, this reality collapses trying to correct us." "And Thanos?" asked Steve. Batman's voice hardened. "Is wounded, delayed, and angrier than ever." Thanos felt it too, the universe pushing back, forcing convergence. He straightened, bloodied but unbroken, gauntlet blazing unevenly. "This ends across worlds," he declared. "I will follow you." Superman rose beside Batman, cape torn, eyes steady. "Then we'll be ready." The League began to withdraw, Flash ferrying the injured, Cyborg stabilizing the rupture, Aquaman summoning cover, Diana holding the line with the Avengers. As the tear widened, Thanos took one final step forward and stopped. For the first time, he did not advance. He watched them leave, calculating, learning. The battlefield fell silent as the Justice League vanished back into the unknown, leaving behind a universe altered, not saved, not doomed, but changed. Batman's last thought before the light swallowed him was simple and terrifying. This war didn't end. It just went multiversal.
The tear between universes did not close cleanly. It scarred. On the far side of reality, the Justice League emerged into a starless void, a liminal corridor where physics softened and direction lost meaning. Cyborg anchored them with stabilizers grown from living metal, his systems straining to keep a path open long enough for everyone to cross. 5 seconds, warned Victor. Maybe less. Flash blurred back one last time, depositing a wounded Wakandan soldier into the corridor before skidding to a stop. Everyone accounted for. Superman turned, eyes locking on the shrinking aperture. Through it, Wakanda burned, and Thanos stood at the center of the ruin, motionless, watching. Not chasing, waiting. The tear snapped shut. Silence followed. Then weight returned, stars reappeared, gravity asserted itself with a familiar, merciful pull. They stood on broken rock beneath a red sun, an uninhabited system, cold and empty. Batman's boots crunched as he stepped forward, scanning the horizon. "Safe for now," Bruce said. "No immediate pursuit." Diana didn't lower her sword. "He will come." "Yes," Bruce agreed, "but not blindly." Superman hovered a few feet off the ground, listening, not with super hearing, but with something deeper. The universe felt irritated, as if their presence caused friction just by existing. "He's learned how we fight, how we choose. And we learned something worse. He's adaptable across realities." Aquaman scoffed, though there was no humor in it. "Then we take the fight to him before he finishes adapting." "No," Batman said immediately. "That's what he wants." Victor's systems chimed softly as new data streams assembled themselves from background radiation and quantum noise. His voice dropped an octave as he spoke. "The stones are broadcasting, not a signal, an assertion. They're mapping adjacent realities. Thanos doesn't need to follow us physically." Flash swallowed. "You're saying he can reach through?" "Not yet," Victor replied, "but the more he forces balance, the thinner the walls get." Superman clenched his jaw. "Then we can't just run." Batman nodded. "No, we reposition." He projected a three-dimensional map, overlapping universes represented as intersecting probability planes. "We split, not scattered, strategic, independent actions, independent signatures. If Thanos hunts one of us, the others move." Diana's eyes narrowed. "You're proposing isolation." "I'm proposing survival," Batman answered. "No automatic alliances, no grand stand. This isn't our war, but it is our responsibility now." A familiar voice cut in over open comms. "That's cute. You guys always talk like this?" The Avengers' holographic feeds flickered into view. Steve, Natasha, Strange, Rocket, Bruce Banner, faces tired, battered, alive. "We stabilized Wakanda, barely. Thanos withdrew after you vanished." "Withdrawn doesn't mean defeated," Batman said. Strange folded his hands, studying Bruce intently. "The future shifted when you destroyed the Mind Stone's housing. Millions collapsed, billions diverged." "And?" Bruce asked. "And," Strange said slowly, "this is one of the few where Thanos doesn't win cleanly." Silence. Rocket finally spoke. "So, you broke his toy and ticked him off?" "Yes," Bruce said, "and now he's coming for us." Diana stepped forward. "Then we stand together." Batman shook his head. "Not yet." Superman turned to him. "Bruce, we are not this universe's saviors," Bruce said firmly. "If we centralize, we give him a target big enough to justify full stone usage. We learned what happens when we push too hard." Superman looked away. He hated that Bruce was right. Across the galaxy, Thanos stood alone on Sanctuary 2's shattered deck. The gauntlet hummed unevenly, energy venting in unstable pulses. He studied a holographic projection formed not by technology, but by will. Fractured images of Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. "Heroes," he murmured. "You deny inevitability and call it virtue."
The Black Order knelt before him, awaiting command. We adapt. No more totality. No more elegance. He raised his hand, reality and space stones flaring in resonance. We hunt choices. Back in the Red Star system, the League finalized their separation. Flash would move, disrupt Black Order logistics across space, never staying long enough to be traced. Aquaman would return to Earth's oceans, forging an alliance with Namor's rumored kingdom and guarding planetary lifelines Thanos had already targeted once. Cyborg would vanish into deep space, following the Stone's broadcasts, learning their logic better than Thanos ever could. Diana would stay close, but unseen, watching Avengers and gods alike, prepared to strike when honor demanded it. And Superman? Clark looked at Bruce. What about me? Batman met his gaze. You're the anchor. Superman frowned. That makes me the biggest target. Yes, Bruce said softly, and the one thing Thanos can't ignore. Clark nodded once. He understood. As they parted ways, the universe seemed to exhale, pressure easing, probability stabilizing. For now. From the darkness beyond known space, Thanos smiled. Let them scatter. Let them hope. Balance would come. And when it did, every universe would remember the moment gods decided to interfere and learned what it truly cost.
Thanos struck where certainty lived, not at the edges of the war, not at the chaos Flash created or the deep oceans Aquaman guarded. He ignored Cyborg's vanishing trail through dead systems and bypassed Diana's quiet watchfulness entirely. Instead, he went for symbols. On Earth, night fell hard and fast. Sanctums across the planet flared as ancient wards screamed in warning. Doctor Strange felt it first, a pressure like reality being folded inward, not tearing, but compressed. He's not coming through space, Strange said sharply. He's coming through belief. In the ruins of an abandoned Kree outpost, Superman hovered alone beneath a fractured moon, listening to distant worlds cry out as the gauntlet's resonance rippled across dimensional seams. He felt the shift before he saw it. The stars rearranged themselves. Thanos stepped out of folded space as if walking through a door that had always existed. No army, Superman said calmly. No ambush. Thanos inclined his head slightly. Not today. They faced each other in silence, two forces that bent universes simply by standing still. You learned, Superman said. You stopped trying to crush us. Yes, I am no longer testing strength. I am testing will. The Reality Stone pulsed, not to attack, but to reveal. Images flared between them. Planets spared, populations stabilized, wars prevented by decisive, brutal action. Your interference broke inevitability, Thanos continued. Now suffering multiplies, chaos spreads, the stones compensate, imperfectly. Superman watched children on a world he didn't recognize starve beneath a sky he had never seen. You think this makes you right, Clark said. I think it makes me necessary, Thanos answered. He raised the gauntlet, not to strike Superman, but to anchor him. Space bent, locking Clark in place relative to the battlefield, not immobilized, but responsible. Every movement Superman made would now ripple across 1,000 connected outcomes. You won't kill me, Thanos said calmly. You won't even risk full force. You are your own leash. Superman strained, feeling it, the truth. If he unleashed everything, worlds he couldn't even name would pay the price. So what do you want? Clark asked. Thanos stepped closer. I want you to choose. Elsewhere, Flash ran straight into a trap. Barry materialized inside a collapsing gravity pocket as Black Order cruisers snapped into formation around him. Corvus Glaive stood at the center, spear embedded in the fabric of space itself. You move too fast, Corvus said. You forget that speed still follows rules. Barry tried to accelerate, but time thickened, syrup slow, every step dragging causality with it.
Then the trap failed. Water erupted from nowhere, pressure crushing alien hulls as Aquaman tore through the formation like a living tide. Atlantean war beasts followed, ancient and furious. Arthur didn't look at Barry. Next time, stick to the oceans. Barry grinned breathlessly. I was gonna say the same thing. But even as they escaped, Arthur felt it, the pull again. Thanos wasn't hunting bodies anymore. He was hunting decisions. Cyborg confirmed it moments later from deep space, voice distorted by light years of interference. He's targeting convergence points, Victor said. People whose choices anchor probability, leaders, symbols, heroes. Batman stiffened aboard his cloaked carrier, surrounded by holographic projections of collapsing futures. So he's dismantling morale, not armies, Bruce said. Exactly, Victor replied, and he's winning. On Earth, riots broke out as rumors spread. Gods fighting gods, universes colliding, salvation uncertain. The Avengers struggled to contain panic as much as invasion. Diana stood atop a ruined spire, overlooking the city, watching humanity fracture under fear. This is not war, she said softly. This is erosion. Batman joined her in silence. He's isolating Superman, Diana observed. Bruce nodded. Because Clark won't cross the line. And you would, Diana said, not accusing, just stating fact. Yes, Bruce replied, and that's why he's avoiding me. As if summoned by the thought, space folded again, not with violence, with precision. Thanos appeared on the carrier's edge, gauntlet humming unevenly, eyes locked on Batman. You plan, Thanos said. You sacrifice others in your mind long before the moment arrives. Batman didn't move. You're afraid of that. Thanos smiled faintly. I respect it. He gestured, and Bruce's screens lit up with a single projected future, one that Thanos won, not with a snap, but with attrition. Worlds choosing order over freedom, heroes standing down to prevent greater suffering, universes stabilizing under enforced balance. You can stop me, Thanos said. Here, now. Bruce's heart rate spiked, but his voice remained steady. At what cost? Thanos leaned in. Superman. The word hit harder than any blow. He's the variable, Thanos continued. Kill him or convince him to leave, and inevitability resumes without further bloodshed. Batman's fists clenched. You won't do it, Thanos confidently said, because you still believe in him. The Titan stepped back into folding space. Choose, God or galaxy. Across the stars, Superman felt the weight shift. Something had changed. He didn't know what yet, but he knew Bruce was involved. And somewhere deep in the multiverse, the war crossed a line no one could uncross. Because now, the question was no longer how to stop Thanos, but whether hope itself was worth the damage it caused.
Batman did not answer Thanos immediately. He stood alone on the carrier's edge long after the Titan vanished, stars sliding silently past as the ship drifted on minimal power. The projected future Thanos had shown him lingered like an afterimage burned into his mind. Worlds intact, orderly, quiet, and wrong. A universe where people survived by surrendering the right to choose. Bruce exhaled slowly. That's how he wins, he murmured, by making resistance feel irresponsible. Behind him, Diana rested a hand on the pommel of her sword. And what did you feel? Bruce didn't look at her. Tempted. Diana nodded once. She appreciated honesty more than comfort. Across the void, Superman felt the shift tighten.
The anchoring field Thanos had wrapped around him hummed, invisible but absolute. Every time Clark tried to move faster, strike harder, be more, the universe answered with resistance, probability bending, distant stars flickering as if warning him to stop. He could still win a fight. He just couldn't win without consequences. Clark lowered himself to the broken surface of the moon, boots crunching softly. For the first time since becoming Superman, he felt like his strength was being audited. "You want me to quit," he said aloud. Thanos' voice answered, not from space, but from everywhere. "I want you to rest," the Titan replied, "to let go of a burden that was never meant for one being." Images flared again. Worlds where Superman never arrived, wars that burned themselves out quickly, populations that adapted through loss rather than salvation. "People die," Thanos said evenly, "but existence endures." Clark closed his eyes. "And when you're done balancing?" Clark asked. "When everything is quiet?" Thanos' voice softened. "Then there will be peace." Clark opened his eyes. "No," he said. "There will be silence." Elsewhere, Flash skidded to a halt inside the ruins of a Shi'ar relay station, chest heaving as he stared at the data Cyborg had just transmitted. Probability maps, convergence points, red zones blooming across multiple realities. "Vic," Barry said quietly, "these aren't battlefields." "I know," Cyborg replied. "They're decisions. Thanos is engineering moments where heroes choose restraint over action." Barry swallowed. "And that's bad because once enough of us choose not to act," Victor said, "hope becomes statistically irrelevant." Barry didn't joke this time. On Earth, Wakanda held, but barely. Steve Jones with T'Challa overlooking rebuilt defenses, both men watching the sky as if it expected it to crack open again. "He didn't come back," Steve said. "Not yet," T'Challa replied. "Predators do not charge when patience yields better results." In New York, Dr. Strange studied timelines that refused to settle. Futures overlapped, collapsed, then reformed, none clean, none stable. "This is worse than the snap," admitted Dr. Strange to one. "At least then the choice was taken from us." "And now?" Tony frowned. "Now," Strange said, "we're being convinced to give it away." The League regrouped in fragments, holograms flickering across encrypted channels, faces drawn tight with the weight of what was coming. Cyborg spoke first. "Thanos is forcing a convergence, one final decision point big enough to collapse the rest." Batman nodded. "He'll make it public. He wants the universe watching." Diana's eyes hardened. "Where?" Victor hesitated. "Earth. Always Earth." Bruce's jaw tightened. Of course it was. Symbols mattered, and Earth had become the multiverse's loudest one. "Then we deny him the narrative," Batman said. Flash leaned forward. "How?" "By doing the one thing he can't account for," Batman replied. "We refuse to let Superman choose alone." Clark's voice cut in. Quiet, steady. "Bruce, don't." Batman closed his eyes briefly. "He's turning you into the fulcrum. We break that." Thanos made his move hours later. Every screen on Earth, alien, human, mystical, lit up at once. Sky shimmered as his image projected itself across continents and cultures, translated instantly into every language. "I am Thanos," he said, calm and vast. "I bring an end to endless war." Panic surged. Silence followed.
I offer you a choice, Thanos continued. Your champion, the one you call Superman, stands outside your universe's laws. His presence destabilizes your future. Superman hovered above the atmosphere now, visible to billions as a distant blazing figure. If he leaves, Thanos said, this war ends. No snap, no extinction, balance restored. Outrage exploded across networks, arguments ignited instantly, fear against hope, survival against principle. Superman felt it all. Every prayer, every curse, every desperate calculation. Thanos' final words echoed like a verdict. Decide. Clark descended slowly, the anchoring field easing just enough to allow it. He landed in the open plains outside Wakanda, Avengers and League members gathering around him as news feeds blared. Steve Rogers looked at him, conflicted. He's putting this on you. Clark nodded. I know. Batman stepped forward. You don't owe this universe your exile. But if I stay, they pay the price. Diana gripped his arm. You are not the problem. Clark smiled faintly. That's what makes this hard. Above them, the sky darkened as Thanos appeared in person. No army, no theatrics, just inevitability walking forward. Well, Thanos asked, will you choose them or yourself? Clark looked at the faces around him. Heroes, soldiers, people. Then he did something Thanos had not predicted. He turned to Batman. Bruce, Clark said, if I go, what happens next? Bruce met his gaze, voice unwavering. Then we fight smarter, harder, and we don't let him turn mercy into weakness. Thanos frowned, for the first time uncertain. Clark faced the Titan again. I'll leave, Superman said. A collective gasp rippled across the planet. But not because you asked, and not because they're afraid. He rose into the air, light building around him, not as power, but as decision. I leave, Superman said, because hope doesn't end with me. The universe held its breath. Thanos' smile returned, thin, victorious. Wise, the Titan said. He was wrong. Because as Superman ascended toward the dimensional scar reopening in the sky, the Justice League and the Avengers moved, not to mourn, not to retreat, but to prepare. And for the first time since the war began, Thanos realized too late, he had removed the restraint.
The dimensional scar above Earth pulsed violently, stretching wide enough to swallow stars. Superman hovered at its center, aura blazing like a sun in miniature, every muscle straining against the universe's pull. The moment Thanos had anticipated, the fulcrum of inevitability, was here. Clark's decision had already rippled across millions of lives and countless probabilities. But he did not descend silently, not as an exile, not as a martyr. Behind him, the Justice League and Avengers had positioned themselves strategically, each member at a nexus point where their abilities could counteract, delay, or disrupt Thanos' advantage. No single being was in the line of fire alone. Every motion, every strike was orchestrated like a symphony of war. Flash blurred first, racing along the scar's edge to intercept Outrider detachments warped through the dimensional fold. He moved so quickly that to the human eye he was everywhere at once, dismantling alien tech mid-flight and evacuating civilians displaced by Thanos' manipulation of space-time. His movements weren't random, they were tactical, calibrated to deny Thanos any foothold on multiple fronts. Aquaman erupted from the seas surrounding the scar, summoning massive oceanic constructs. Each wave was not just water, but an amplified field of pressure and gravitational force,
designed to collide with Thanos' cosmic manipulation in a way that could slow, not stop, him. Atlantean war beasts joined the assault, ancient creatures awakened to serve as living barricades. Diana of Themyscira moved with her trademark precision, striking down the Black Order before they could organize. Her sword clashed against Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive in a blur of silver, each strike measured to force maximum disruption with minimal risk to civilians. She held the line as both shield and spear, a moral and literal anchor for hope in the chaos. Cyborg systems interfaced with the edges of the dimensional tear, stabilizing weak points the gauntlet's resonance strained. Algorithms merged with fragments of the Mind Stone's remnants, an uneasy but functional integration that allowed Victor to counteract Thanos' predictive calculations. His cybernetic mind became a battlefield in itself, engaging in a tug-of-war with Thanos' cosmic logic. Batman coordinated the movements from multiple vantage points, using satellites, holograms, and strategic overlays. He wasn't fighting Thanos directly, he was orchestrating the battlefield, predicting the Titan's strategies, and directing allies toward vulnerabilities Thanos had overlooked. His calm, unyielding mind countered the chaos with precision. The Avengers followed suit. Tony Stark fired coordinated energy barrages that disrupted Thanos' access to space and power stones. Strange conjured temporal loops and shields, creating microcosms of stasis to slow the Titan's relentless advance. Natasha and Clint evacuated civilians, striking strategically with uncanny timing, ensuring that every decision Thanos forced upon Superman would cost him something in real time. And Superman? He held himself at the center, resisting the pull not with raw power alone, but with purpose. Every second he lingered in the dimensional scar, every movement he made rippled consequences outward. The universe strained against him, bending probabilities to his hesitation, but Clark remained resolute. He understood fully that leaving wasn't surrender, it was the choice that preserved hope for the most lives. Thanos advanced, now visibly frustrated. The power and reality stones pulsed erratically, as if aware that their wielder's control was being challenged. Every step he took brought a pulse of distortion across the battlefield, warping space and threatening to unbalance even the coordinated efforts of heroes. "You rely on him," Thanos said, voice echoing across the scarred heavens. "You gamble on morality, and it will fail." Diana stepped forward, voice cutting through the cosmic tension. "Morality isn't a gamble, it's resistance." Cyborg systems pulsed violently. "Thanos' calculations are off," he reported. "He did not account for cross-universal coordination at this scale." Superman's eyes met Thanos's. "This universe is bigger than you, Titan, and so are the choices of those who defend it." Thanos' lips curved in a thin, unreadable smile. "Then prove it." At that instant, the Justice League and Avengers executed the plan. Temporal loops, gravitational anomalies, and synchronized strikes intersected with the residual Mind Stone energy. Thanos staggered under the pressure, his gauntlet straining as the universe itself seemed to resist him. Light bent, space cracked, and probability became chaotic. But for the first time, Thanos faced uncertainty. Superman rose higher into the scar, unyielding, a beacon for every soul relying on him. The combined might of heroes, strategy, and moral conviction converged upon the Titan. He would not strike first, he would not fall into the trap of wrath. Instead, he became the pivot, the center around which hope revolved. And for the first time, Thanos realized this fight would not be resolved by raw power alone. It would be decided by the choices of gods who refused inevitability. The final confrontation unfolded not as a clash of fists, but as a crucible of will. Superman hovered at the epicenter of the dimensional scar, his aura radiating like a nova of intent.
Thanos approached, each step measured, every motion precise. The gauntlet glowed violently, pulsing as though protesting the combined interference of heroes across multiple realities. Yet the Titan did not attack immediately. He calculated, observed, tested the limits of their resolve. Batman's voice came through encrypted channels, calm and decisive. Positions. Execute on my mark. Diana, standing atop the highest peak of Wakanda's fractured terrain, clenched her sword with white-knuckled determination. Wonder Woman and Natasha coordinated to intercept the Black Order's flanking maneuvers, ensuring no ally would be caught unprepared. Cyborg's systems hummed as he synchronized the Mind Stone fragments with the tactical grids. Victor here. Gauntlet resonance destabilizing. This is it. Flash streaked across the battlefield in precise loops, dismantling Thanos' spatial anchors before they could solidify. Every second he spent near the scar risked being ripped apart by the residual energies of the stones, yet he persisted. Aquaman summoned ancient oceanic leviathans and tidal columns, each movement calculated to disrupt the gauntlet's gravitational manipulations. The oceans themselves seemed to rebel against Thanos' intrusion. Dr. Strange, eyes glowing behind his cloak, orchestrated temporal loops in rapid succession, creating microbubbles of frozen time to halt Thanos' advance long enough for the hero's coordinated strike to align. And Superman? He remained at the fulcrum, every muscle tensed, every thought focused. He did not fight with anger, he did not strike with malice. Instead, he embodied purpose. His every movement reinforced the structure of the multiverse he had vowed to protect, resisting the Titan's attempts to bend it to inevitability. Thanos moved then, finally, his hand rising. The gauntlet blazed across all 6 stones, reality bending and twisting under his will. A shockwave erupted from him, throwing heroes off balance, ripping chunks of terrain into the void. But he had miscalculated one constant: their unity through choice. As Thanos unleashed the full power of the gauntlet, the Avengers and Justice League executed Batman's plan. Temporal loops, gravitational distortions, and coordinated attacks converged, hitting Thanos from multiple dimensions and probability vectors. The power and reality stones resisted, but the sheer complexity of multiversal interference overwhelmed their cohesion. Superman moved at that exact moment, not to strike, but to anchor the multiversal alignment. The scar pulsed violently, then stabilized as he became the pivot point for all the intersecting energies. Every strike, every maneuver, every heroic intervention funneled into him. Thanos staggered, the gauntlet sparking uncontrollably. "Impossible," he hissed. "You cannot—" But the universe itself answered in unison. Stars brightened, planets trembled, and reality snapped into equilibrium, leaving Thanos unprepared, vulnerable, and unbalanced. His own overreach had created a weakness. Wonder Woman struck first, sending Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive sprawling. Aquaman's tidal wave smashed into Cull Obsidian, shattering the alien warrior's momentum. Flash dismantled residual spatial anomalies, clearing the path. Cyborg and Dr. Strange targeted the gauntlet's resonance, feeding unstable energy back into the stones in a precise pattern. Sparks of pure cosmic force flew outward, each one unraveling the gauntlet's cohesion. Superman landed last. With the full moral and tactical alignment of allies supporting him, he landed a controlled, decisive blow, not fueled by rage, but by purpose. The impact disrupted the gauntlet, fracturing the stone's connection and rendering them inert.
Thanos fell to one knee, stunned, his confidence shattered. For the first time, the Titan faced inevitable defeat, not by brute force, but by coordinated choice, strategy, and moral conviction. Batman stepped forward, voice calm but cutting. "It's over." Superman hovered above, his aura fading. "Not because we are stronger," he said, "but because we chose to act together." Diana sheathed her sword. "And because hope doesn't yield to inevitability." Across the battlefield, Avengers and League members regrouped, bruised, battered, yet alive. the dimensional scar sealed, leaving only the faint glow of energy residues, reminders that this universe had survived a test of gods. Thanos, defeated but alive, was left to contemplate his failure, not from might, but from unity, choice, and defiance. For now, the universe was safe. The heroes had endured, and the multiverse had been preserved, not through domination, but through courage, strategy, and unyielding hope.
The battlefield fell silent, the echoes of war fading into memory. Wakanda was scarred but standing. Earth had endured, and the multiversal tear had sealed itself. Superman descended from the dimensional scar, light dimming around him, his body carrying the weight of every choice he had made. The Justice League and Avengers gathered around him, bruised yet resolute, a testament to unity forged under impossible odds. Thanos lay defeated, his gauntlet fractured, his plans undone, not by raw power, but by the coordinated will and moral conviction of heroes who refused to let inevitability dictate the future. He had learned, perhaps too late, that a single fulcrum, Superman, was not enough to tip a universe against those who fought for hope. The multiverse itself seemed to breathe easier, acknowledging that choice, courage, and cooperation could outweigh the tyranny of absolute power. Though dangers remained and the stone's echoes would be felt for years, a new precedent had been set. Even cosmic inevitabilities could be challenged by strategy, morality, and unity. Superman, standing among allies, reflected quietly, "Strength alone does not preserve life. Decisions do." The heroes had endured loss, tested limits, and confronted the impossible. And in doing so, they reshaped the boundaries of reality itself. The war was over, for now, but the universe remembered. Hope, once chosen, can never be undone. May the Force be with you. More stories await.